Celebrating 25 years of fearless and impactful journalism, this bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kokomlemle at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including ATL FM in Cape Coast, Radio Max in Takrade. We are around the world at myjoyonline.com. In this edition, death toll in 2 separate road crashes yesterday rises to 23 in less than 24 hours, prompting police to step up clampdown on driver indiscipline.
It was very horrible. Those at the front, both cars, they were all trapped. We observed that those at the fourth ones were dead. Those at the Toyota Haze, they were crying. So we have to make sure that we work fast.
We hear from the MTTD, which says it is worried about the increase in cases of crashes. UTAG divided on the Public Universities Bill as national executives issue statement to contradict their Legon executives who opposed the bill. ECOWAS directs military regime in Mali to hand over power to civilian president and prime minister with immediate effect. And in sports,
we'll hear the thoughts of reigning VGMA Songwriter of the Year Kofi Kinata on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and why he thinks Arsenal will finish 8th in the current Premier League season.
I look forward to that. An Araba Kumsin story breaking stereotypes in the male-dominated newsroom.
I walked in with trepidation because I didn't know what to expect. This was Joy FM. I was scared. Because I was coming to face what I call giants.
Well, and we'll also tell you how Sinyang SHS emerged the regional stage with the highest scores, yet nearly lost the bid for the 1A stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz. That and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Please stay for details. In our very first story for this afternoon, the number of deaths from 2 separate road accidents recorded yesterday has now reached 23. In Chichire, police has confirmed 3 new deaths, bringing the total to 17. In last night's accident at Gomwa Adam on the Kwasua Cape Coast Highway, 6 persons have been confirmed dead. Apam District Fire Commander DO1 Adolf and Kuma Nyama described the accident as one of the most horrible he has witnessed.
7:06 p.m. we were called that there was an accident around Gomwa Adams and Gomwa Chirunkwanta. Actually, when we went there, it was very horrible. It was headlong collision. 4 Transit and a Toyota Haze. So we were actually, when we got there, we saw that those at the front, both cars, they were all trapped. But we observed that those at the 4 Transit, they were already gone. They were dead. And those at the Toyota Haze, they were crying. So we have to make sure that we work fast. So we did the curtains and everything, and we were able to release them and gave it to the ambulance. Before we went to the 4 Transit to also make sure that we release the dead bodies and give it to the ambulance. Taking and was speeding must stop. Because according to eyewitness, it was unnecessary overtaking by, I think, the 4 Transit or so. So actually, when we went, it had already happened. And the cause and everything will be left for the police. But that is what we know it happened. It's overtaken. So we are pleading with the drivers that this road is very hot road. So they have to make sure that they reduce speed and they will be very much careful when driving.
Now, Isa Abubakar was a passenger on one of the vehicles and thankfully survived. He's been narrating the incident to Joy News.
We're coming from Kasua to Cape Coast. All of a sudden, we saw the Ford driver trying to overtake a car. Immediately, he came into our lane. He ran into us, causing our car to spin and face backwards.
Earlier on, the medical superintendent of the Apam Catholic Hospital, Dr. Paul Acha, gave details about the casualty figures.
7 had serious injuries. We are having difficulty with the referral, hoping to get a spare space in other places. But if we get a bed space, we'll refer them to the according health facilities. But they are all stable. The 7 are stable, currently stable. And we've managed them, but 5 were brought in death, so they are at the morgue. So they are all men.
Now, the National Road Safety Authority is planning a reconstruction of the Chichire stretch of that road to aid in prevention of future accidents there. David Osafwa Dongting is Director of Planning and Programs.
We, from the National Road Safety Authority's point of view, our investigation will focus on systems, the transport system. We will reconstruct the crash, and then our aim is to come up with correct picture. We believe this vehicle is coming from, it's an international vehicle, because we see the registration number at the Burkina Faso track. We also see our transport operators with the buses and the intercity STC. Something went wrong. And so we will reconstruct the crash from the beginning to the end where it happened. And then whatever comes out, we are interested in the corrective measures.
That's the Director of Planning and Programs at the Road Safety Authority, David Osafwa Donting. Well, the police MTTD says it is concerned about the recent accidents being recorded in parts of the country. We can speak to Superintendent Kweku Obeng, who is Director of Research and Training at the MTTD. We're grateful for your time, sir. So in less than 24 hours, 2 major crashes, 23 deaths. From where you sit, what exactly is the situation?
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And let me take this opportunity to sympathize with the families that have lost so many in the past 24 hours in 2 separate crashes. One on the N6 and the other on the N1, which are main Trans-West African highways that is serving the country and our neighboring countries in West Africa, which are also single carriages. And in the process, we've lost 17 here, and currently the one that happened last night, so far lost 7, with 1 in critical condition at the trauma center in Winneba. Clearly, it is one too many because the way and manner these crashes are happening clearly indicates to us the challenges we have regarding road safety management in terms of road user behavior and the fact that the roads that we have are inadequate in terms of its safety. I think we have come many times on these corridors. If you recall, last year, around April, we have 2 separate crashes within the same day on this same corridor. One happened around Kintampo. That led to so many burnings.
But Superintendent, it appears that it's become a template. We hear you say this over and over every time there's an accident. It appears nothing is changing. What exactly is the cause of that?
And that's what I'm coming up to. Obviously, when we begin to see a trend like that, and I mentioned that these are Trans-West African highways from our infancy. And we have, as a country, has a policy to dualize. However, we've not been able to do them. Where we have done them, we are not seeing this headlong collision that is leading to tens, in certain instances, 65 deaths on burning. Where we have dualized, these things don't happen. But sections that are not dualized, is where these things are happening. Let us also understand that these roads are Trans-West Africa. It's serving many of our neighboring countries that are landlocked, and they freight prime movers and move articulated trucks night and day. And it is so busy that sometimes when you're on the road, as if you are in a city or Accra Road, or we are in Kumasi, the traffic is congested day and night, and therefore anytime a driver is driving at night or during the day and a time best, or he gets involved in any indisciplined behavior like overtaking on curls or hills, or the vehicle is being towed to the side because it is no other secured, or there's a defect, or the driver is tired and sleeping off, among others, the driver tends to veer off his or her lane, and in the process headlong with a vehicle that is on the opposite side, just because there is a thin line in between where these roads are supposed to be doing.
Okay. We'll leave it here for now. That superintendent of being is the director of research and training at the MTTD. So apart from indiscipline also on the part of some of the drivers or the road users, engineering of our roads is also one of the issues. Now it's time for Arrival Live, and today we have our road safety advice from the police commander for Ayensiano in the Eastern Region, ASP Francis Kwejonate. That's where a heavy-duty cargo truck crashed into 2 passenger buses and yesterday killed 14 people. We're told now about 17. As investigations get underway, we get our Arrival Live advice from him.
My advice should be that when they think they are tired, they have to stop along the road at a safer place to rest a while, and also see to the maintenance of their vehicles. As being said, that allegedly that it was the tire burst. If so, then they have to be checking these tires, that they are worn out or they are being reduced to the tread. So if these things are put in place, these accidents will be reduced.
That's ASP Francis Kwejonate. He's in charge of the commanding for Ayensiano in the Eastern Region. Now, the military regime in Mali has been directed to hand over power to a civilian president and prime minister immediately to avoid further sanctions. This is despite position taken by the military ruler Assimi Goita to consult his National Committee for the Salvation of the People's Leadership. In a communique issued a while ago after yesterday's consultative meeting chaired by President Akufo-Addo, ECOWAS further directs that the yet-to-be-appointed transition vice president shall not under any circumstance replace the transition president. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe has a copy of the communique. He joins us on the line with more on this. What more is contained in that communique, Elton?
So, for the 10-point communique is also calling for the immediate release of the Prime Minister of Mali, Boubou Sisa. Now, it goes on to say that the issues about the appointment of the president and the prime minister should be done immediately. And then the point about the transition vice president provided for in the transition charter shall not, under any circumstances, replace the transition president. Now, they've also taken note of the length of the political transition. And according to the communique, it should be 18 months maximum, with effect from today, 16 September 2020. Once a civilian-led transition is put in place, ECOWAS, according to the communique, will fully accompany the Republic of Mali towards the restoration of constitutional order in line with the relevant protocols of ECOWAS. Also, with regards to the sanctions, in line with the decision of the authority of ECOWAS as of state and government, such sanctions, according to the communique, will be lifted immediately when the transition president and prime ministers are effectively designated. Now, what everybody is looking forward to is what the National Council for the Salvation of the People will do. They are within days to report back to this consultative meeting, and President Goodluck Jonathan, former president of Nigeria, is the one liaising between them and the consultative meeting. And the hope is that within a week, these matters will be met. If they are unable to meet the dictates of the communique, then it looks at the sanctions.
That's our presidential affairs correspondent, Elton Brobe. We head on to the education front now because university teachers in Ghana are divided on the new public universities bill currently before Parliament. This morning, the Legon branch of UTAG have been holding a news conference at which it described the public universities bill currently before Parliament as unconstitutional, unnecessary, and will create more problems than it claims to solve. They are therefore urging the president to use his powers under the Constitution to have the bill withdrawn. Here's Professor Akosia Adumakwampofo, who addressed the press on behalf of the UTAG UG.
Our objections are that the PUB is unconstitutional, unnecessary, and will create more problems than it claims to solve. And I will take these one by one. First and foremost, the PUB violates the 1992 Constitution of our Republic. If passed into law, this new legislation would confer on the President powers that the 1992 Constitution explicitly denies him or her under Article 68, 1B, and 195(3). Through provisions in the bill that give the executive majority representation on the university councils and that allow the President to dissolve the council, the President would effectively control universities.
That's Akosia Adumakwampo for Professor. She addressed that press conference on behalf of UTAG UG. Well, the national executives of UTAG have been condemning UTAG UG for holding that press conference, and they've distanced themselves from it. Joy News editor First Smith has a copy of that statement that has been put out by UTAG. What does it say?
Yes, Emefa, in the middle of that news conference at the University of Ghana, this statement came in from the national UTAG, and it says it has come to the notice of the National Executive Committee of UTAG that the University of Ghana branch of UTAG intends to hold a press conference today, 16th of September, to address issues on the Public Universities Bill 2020, and the NEC of UTAG, which is made up of all elected executives of the 10 branches, wishes to inform the general public that the said intended event has not been sanctioned by the body. In fact, at a NEC meeting held at the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho on the 10th of September, NEC voted against the holding of any such press conference by any branch in the name of UTAG, and it continues by saying, we want to place on record that all 4 elected branch executives of UTAG were present at the said meeting. The position of NEC of UTAG has been well articulated and submitted to Parliament for consideration. Representatives of the NEC of UTAG have since then made our case before the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education. Following this, the representatives of NEC of UTAG have met major stakeholders in the country, the President of the Republic, the Council of State, His Excellency the Vice President of the Republic, the Majority Leader of Parliament, the Minister of Education, among others, to espouse the UTAG position on the PUB and help them to appreciate our stance. From day one to date, the NEC of UTAG stance has been and remains that in its current form, we do not accept the bill. The discussions with the persons or bodies listed above have been very fruitful, as there has been a major shift in position on the side of government on most of the contentious issues. It continues, Emefa, but essentially the point is that they condemn their colleagues at the University of Ghana for holding this news conference.
Okay, let's speak to Dr. Samuel Nkumba. He's president for UTAG UG. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So the national executives in that statement have mentioned that a lot of various moves have been made in protest of the Public Universities Bill. So why then the need for today's press conference?
Well, thank you very much. And I must say that reality is this, that the 4 elected officers of University of Ghana campus were elected, of course, by the lecturers at the University of Ghana campus. And of course that we have a national body which the National Executive Committee comprises all 4 elected officers of the 10 campuses. And so let me say that before the Executive Committee meeting, which NEC makes reference to, the processes leading to this press conference had already begun. And at the time we were at the meeting, the notices or invitations to the media houses had gone out. The reason is this, that from June of last year, the Minister of Education made a pronouncement on the floor of Parliament suggesting that UTAG was comfortable with the bill and that we had made inputs. This bill came in 2019, and UTAG, for example, all the campuses were tasked to form committees that would digest the bill and decide whether or not the bill was worth considering or that the bill was unnecessary. And all the campuses indicated, and our report is very clear on that, and that we do not accept the bill. It has come back with some revisions. The revisions we do not think reflect any different from the 0 draft which we received in 2019. Okay. And so our position as a branch on the University of Ghana campus has been that the bill is unnecessary, and because of its unconstitutionality, government should consider the withdrawal of the bill. And I think that runs across all the other campuses.
But reading what the national executive, Dr. Nkumba, let me just quickly come in, Dr. Nkumba. Can you hear me, Dr. Nkumba? So the national executive. It appears Dr. Nkumba is unable to hear me. But Dr. Nkumba, if you can hear me, I'm saying that the national executives maintain that they are fighting that same cause, for which reason you have put out this press conference. They also mentioned that you did not have the approval to do so, and that the needed sanctions will apply if you go ahead with the intended press conference.
Well, of course, like I said, we have a constituency made of a certain number of lecturers. And we were elected by this constituency, and we represent the interests of the constituency as well.
And so if University of Ghana lecturers feel strongly about the fact that we do not want the Public Universities Bill, which is the same position the National Executive Committee holds, that we do not want the bill, and UTAG University of Ghana is doing a press conference to say the same thing, that we do not want the bill, I don't see how that is at variance with the position of the National Executive Committee.
Well, so you maintain that you had the powers to hold that press conference that you did today, in spite of what the national executives have been saying, because they say that it has the potential of breaking UTAG's front and undermining the collective efforts of the national body.
Well, of course, our position on the bill is clear, and what we did today was in support of the general consensus and processes that the bill is unnecessary. And in fact, it is not only University of Ghana that holds this view. And if you would remember, of course, Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, civil society organizations, including CDD and IDEC, all of these bodies are singing the same song that University of Ghana is singing. And I don't think that song is different from the view of national.
Okay. Well, that's Dr. Samuel Nkumba, is President UTAG UG. We've been joined on the phone also by Dr. Samuel Bert Bwedikusi, is President of UTAG UCC, and is part of those who signed that statement distancing itself from that press conference held by UTAG UG. So, Dr. Bert Bwedikusi, what did UTAG do wrong? Because they also mentioned that in its current form, they do not accept the Public Universities Bill. Is it that you wanted them to wait until the University of Ghana, so the University Teachers Association of Ghana, holds a national press conference, or what exactly is it?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. Let me state that, yes, I'm president of UCC, but at this moment I am speaking for the National Secretariat. Now, clearly, UTAG UG seems not to understand the principle of unionism. We are a union. We hold our collective brand. And that brand does not belong to UTAG UG alone. And that is why, per our own constitutions, we have national officers. And so we have these leaders, the national officer, as well as the National Executive Committee, which UTAG UG executives are members. All of us have articulated a position. That position has been presented to Parliament. UTAG UG was part of it. Following from that, we have engaged major stakeholders. UTAG UG president himself was part of some of these engagements.
But the concern for them is that at some point they had the Minister of Education and other deputies mention that the UTAG and other members are now comfortable with the amendments that have been made to the Public Universities Bill. Hence, their concerns and that press conference.
No, please. You see, that's why I want to clarify this. That if you check from the press release that we said that, and right from day one, the memo that we sent to Parliament, we said that in its current form, we were not comfortable. However, we needed to also engage. We made an appearance at the Parliamentary Select Committee. And as we have indicated, there has been a major shift. And so granted that UG is pursuing a course which is also appreciated by all the other branches. Why is it that it is UG that is leading that when we have national executive officers?
But if the national is not leading it, should they wait?
If I may, why are they usurping the powers of the very body that they are part of? What is their motive?
You think they have a motive?
They should be answering that. Because you see, the principle of unionism, it is not about
So will sanctions apply? Because you've mentioned that you will not hesitate to apply the needed sanctions if they go ahead with a press conference. That has happened. What will be the sanctions?
Yes, we will. We're going to meet. And you see, the irony of it is that not long ago, UG did this same thing, and they wrote to apologize. When we were going to apply sanctions, they apologized, and we accepted their plea because we felt that we are a family. We need to build our front.
And if an apology comes again?
They have gone again. They have usurped of the national body, and we think that is most unfortunate because UG is not the only campus that makes up the national body of UTAG.
Thank you very much. We'll leave it here for now. That's Dr. Samuel Bet Bwedi Kusi. He's a national executive of UTAG, and we'll interrogate that issue much later in our subsequent bulletins. This is the Midday News. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll hear the Araba Kumsin story, breaking stereotypes in the male-dominated newsroom.
I walked in with trepidation because I didn't know what to expect. This is Joy FM. I was scared. Because I was coming to face what I'd call giants.
Let's do sports now on the Midday News. Hans Mensah.
And I'm sure you're wondering why Kofi Kinata is headlining sports this afternoon on the Midday News. Well, it's simple. He played for one of the most prestigious sports clubs in Takoradi. He's one of the loudest Manchester United fans you can find on social media. So I caught up with him and, to gather his thoughts on his club, Manchester United, and how the Premier League top six will be shaping up. His path could have led to the football field, but in the end, Kofi Kinata traded his boots for his vocal cords as he chose to cheer on his mates at Takoradi Technical Institute instead of running down the flanks and putting in crosses. Kinata played for Deportivo, one of the most prestigious court clubs in Takoradi. The influence from his past as a budding football talent is strong in his lyrics as he uses lines related to the sport in some of his hit tracks. It is a fusion of lyrical dexterity, humor, and football.
Lord, we thank you for goodness, we thank you for mercy and for giving us beyond what we deserve.
Our conversation moves to his thoughts on the manager of the club he supports, Manchester United.
Only. First, we were winning. Yeah. We were winning, but
you went to PSG and beat them, eliminated them.
Oh, the match now, yeah. Iradi. Yeah. Only, I don't know, but he should be there. They should give him some time, just like they gave it to Ferguson. With time, OBI man, the time he can do it. So they should give him time.
So, how does Kinata see the Premier League top six shaping up? Look away, Arsenal fans. You will not like this.
City will win.
City will win. Who comes in second?
They are brothers. Man U.
Man U second.
Let me put Chelsea at third before.
Chelsea third.
Before they come beat.
Before they come for you.
Liverpool fourth.
Liverpool fourth.
Yeah, hit.
The champions will be fourth this season. Fifth.
I want to be a Ghanaian for this one. Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace.
Yes.
Then sixth.
Let's put Tottenham there.
So that's Kofi Kinata, and he thinks that Arsenal are going to finish the Premier League season eighth, and that Well, 8. That's what he said.
Yeah.
But he plays Crystal Palace in the 6th position ahead of us now, for being a Ghanaian 6. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Hans. And from 2007, Araba Kumsing has risen through the ranks in a highly challenging newsroom environment to become editor. But her journey hasn't been a jolly ride, breaking many stereotypes about women in journalism in a series of stories looking at Joy News' longest-serving journalist as part of our 25th anniversary. My colleague Justice Bedu tells the Araba Kumsing story.
Araba Kumsing, 14 years, anchoring, reporting from Parliament, and on the ground for Joy News.
How the reception area has changed. 14 years, wow, what a transformation. I walked in with trepidation because I didn't know what to expect. This is Joy FM. I was scared. Because I was coming to face what I'd call giants.
In a country where few women make it in this job, hers has been a fascinating story of dreams. So what has changed about the Joy News journalism over the years that she has been here?
We hadn't had technology developed at the point that we have right now. So we were using, tape recorders at the time. We're using a tiny record. They weren't this tiny. I'm sure I think they were this big. It was bulky sometimes. It was even a challenge sometimes because sometimes you'd want to interview somebody, but because of the bulkiness of the recorder, it puts people off and they wouldn't want to record. So at the time, we're using recorders like that.
Araba wants many other young women to come after her, walking in the footprints that she hopes to leave behind someday.
My position is that you shouldn't always look back. You should always, face forward because, there are new opportunities that come every day. I don't think a lot of organizations can boast of being around for 25 years and thriving. The personnel here can compete with anyone across the world, globally, and so I can only say the future is bright for multimedia heading into the next 25 years.
That's Joy News editor Araba Kumsing. Such an inspiring story. She met the giants, conquered them, and stayed up until now. And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. And we know that organizers of the National Science and Maths Quiz expect more exciting contests at the 1A stage of the competition next 2 weeks. So the team will be moving from the Easting to Volta for the last preliminary contest. And we're looking forward to Ola Girls. Remember that our coverage is proudly brought to you by Joy News, your most credible news channel, supported by Bright SHS Kukrantumi, Building Dreams and Shaping the Future, DBS Color Link Plus Roofing Sheet, Roofing Papa Pafie, Adonko Hand Sanitizers, and of course Adonko Next Level Energy Drink, the premium energy drink. Amele, at 1, what are we expecting?
Ghana's economy recorded negative 3.4% growth rate in Q2, the first time since 1983. We'll bring you all the details at 1.
I look forward to that. And timing is critical in every season. Join Pastor Mensah Otabil as he presents part 6 of the series. It's a new season.